All right. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage, our live President's Day episode. Really cool stuff for you guys here today. I'm Adam Smith, your host with Just the Tips Coaching. And with me, as always, is our marketing director and one of our other coaches, Jen Wayborg. Hey, Jen.
Hi, Adam.
You know, it's funny. I was just thinking as you were running our intro that we've been using for years and years. I've never actually seen an episode of How I Met Your Mother, and
What?
shame on me because I grew up in the Doogie Howser era, so
Oh
I
my
should be a
goodness.
huge Neil Patrick Harris fan, and I am. But yeah, shame on me. All right, so we've got a really cool guest for you guys today, a repeat guest who is actually making his third appearance on the podcast. And we don't have a lot of people that are hitting the hat trick there or beyond. So, welcome back to the show, Andrew Goldberg. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, I'm Jen. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be back on with you too.
Thanks. We think so too. And obviously, we got a little bit of time to chat before we went live. So, we've got quite a few things in our little basket here that we could be kicking around. No question about it. We'll probably get to some of that good stuff. So, in the interest of keeping it brief, because our listeners could always go back and listen to previous episodes where we've had you on as a guest, give us a little bit of background, who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it, why you are crazy enough to be in the real estate business, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so been doing real estate now for going on 8 years. It's flying by. I just remember it was like yesterday. I got my license and went to Vegas and celebrated, and then now fast forward and here we are.
Boy, that was some hangover then.
Yeah, I passed the real estate test, got in the car with my friend, drove to Vegas in my 20s, and we're like, this is what we're doing. And now looking back, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Been at a few different brokerages, businesses evolved over time. And now, I've taken several different approaches throughout the years. And it's been one of those things where, I'm crazy enough to get in the real estate world because I remember before I got in the real estate, buying a home was like one of the most daunting things in the world. And I felt like, getting a license was going to get me there quicker. It always interests me. I have a brother who's in real estate and development in Chicago. So watching him, he was the youngest one in the family. He was also the happiest out of my brothers with their jobs. So, he had a good work-life balance. It was something that I admired. So jumped into it. And now it's been one of those things where I'm, evolving, and it's really cool to be a part of. And just, since the 8 years of doing this, being a part of numerous transactions with clients, watching them grow. Now that you're at that point where people have bought their first house with you, sold their first house with you, bought their next house with you, bought their second house with you, bought land, bought second homes, so watching people's lives has been a big part of the why that keeps me driving me and keeps me crazy enough to be in this industry. And it also keeps me on my toes for my own personal goals. I know we were talking before going live that, I did recently just purchase a home.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, so, I just purchased my second primary, third property in 3 years. I've been influenced by a couple of the industry professionals here in Denver, that believe in, buying lots of investment properties, creating multi-generational wealth, passive income, and kind of striving to have that financial freedom. So I've taken it to heart, and, I preach it to my clients. So it's something that I want to do myself. You can't really preach it unless you practice it. So
you want to drop a couple of names of people that our audience should be following?
Yeah, I would say first one that comes to mind, shout out to Nicole Ruth. She's been a mentor throughout the industry, and she's very great at keeping agents up with the market and ways to build wealth through real estate, being creative. And then I would say a couple of my colleagues in my office have been pretty awesome to influence me as well. I would say I've watched one of my colleagues, Bobby Reginelli, who's no longer with Compass, but grow a whole real estate portfolio quickly over time, and getting the development and watching him grow has been a huge inspiration as well. So shout out to Bobby Reginelli.
Perfect. And Jen, if I'm not mistaken, we had another Compass agent
I was just
on
thinking
not
that
too long ago.
last week, Robin.
Robin. Oh, that's right. Robin
Yep.
Kurlock is with Compass. And yeah, we talked a lot about what's going on with Compass and the technology, and really, really good chat last week. So yeah, another shout out to Robin for that amazing content. So before we really get into the weeds on what we think our audience, real estate agents, loan originators, some other direct-to-consumer, large-ticket item salespeople should be doing, which is why we're all here. You had a few trials and tribulations with the mortgage process.
Yeah. So, when I applied for this mortgage, my recent place, it's really, the whole mortgage process I had during this transaction was probably the most difficult of the last 3. So it's been one of those things that, this experience I had recently has really put me in my client's shoes, and it's taught me how to empathize a lot better with what clients are going through and how to speak to what they're going through during the home buying process. Because, it's not only the home buying process, it's the mortgage, it's the house, it's the inspection, it's the move, it's the
moving.
job.
Oh,
yeah.
Moving is awful.
And then it's like, what's the work you're going to do before you move into the house? Are you going to paint it? Are you going to, do a bathroom? Are you going to, and then all these expenses, like how much money are you going to need for furniture? How much money are you going to need for, anything for landscaping? It's just all these things that you don't really realize you're going to have to do until you get to the thick of it too. And, even as a real estate agent, I feel like there's going to be always some cost, no matter how savvy you are, that will come up. That will be unexpected.
Oh, no question. Yeah, there, without equivocation, there is something you are not thinking of, no matter who you are. Yeah, without a doubt, that is certainly the case. And we actually have talked about this fairly recently, certainly within the year or so, where we had 6-7 weeks here, that the job for all of you, real estate agents, loan originators, insurance agents, financial planners, on and on, is really a very big deal. I mean, we're not even just outside of the fact that we're dealing with people in the largest transactions of their lives. We're dealing with people that are going through 2 or 3 of like the 5 most stressful things an adult American can deal with in their life, those sorts of things. But one of the pieces of the puzzle that I think we're really missing is that we have to be a calming effect. We have to, how do I put this? We have to agree internally to be a sounding board. We have to agree again internally to let people vent. That what people are dealing with when we're talking about these kinds of transactions, and we're not just talking about the real estate stuff, buying a home and moving, enormous pain in the ass, getting a mortgage, an enormous pain in the ass. There's no denying any of this, but they are dealing with such large emotional, social, psychological issues. And this is true for you financial planners and insurance agents as well. I'm thinking about my demise. I'm thinking about my home burning down. I'm thinking about crashing my car, getting crashed into, whatever, when I'm dealing with my insurance, so on and so forth. We've really got to take a step back out of the transactional piece, really relate to people, to humans, to those interpersonal relationships, and get our heads around what people are dealing with, so that we can not just be better at what we do, but we can be better people.
Agreed.
And you've had a lot of that learning going on here. When did you close on your new home?
I closed at the beginning of the month on the 6th.
Okay, so it's only been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Have you moved?
Nope, moving this weekend.
All right. That's also an enormous pain in the ass. And everybody out there listening is like, oh, poor Andrew.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how far are you moving?
4 miles west, so not too far.
Not too far. It doesn't matter.
That's almost
though.
more annoying, though. Like,
Right.
it's
All
so
the shit
close.
still has to go in boxes. All the boxes still have to go in a vehicle. The vehicle has to drive the 4 miles. All the boxes have to come off. And then they all have to get unpacked. It's an enormous pain in the ass. No question.
So it's funny, actually. I had a client who was living in a rental and then ended up buying a house 2 doors down from them. And we were kind of joking about what's going to be a bigger pain, hiring a moving truck to move out to a mover and have a mover move it in, or having to carry the stuff down the street, 2 houses over.
Yeah.
Even though it's close, but you have to, carry more of it.
It's a pain in the ass, no matter how you slice it.
Yeah.
Yep. When we moved our office, we moved from a condo at the opposite end of the complex to the one we're in now. And the moving company brought a truck. Okay. And after they had put a few things on the truck, they realized that just putting everything on dollies and pushing it all the way down the sidewalk was going to be an easier move. But yeah, for the people moving, still enormous pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Definitely a drag. So what do you think are some of the best things you picked up on in how you're dealing with your clients since? Because you probably started this process in either late December, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I went under contract right after the new year started.
Okay.
We did a pretty quick 3-week close. So I think I went.
Oh, there's another challenge. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think we went under contract roughly, January 11th or 12th, if I remember correctly. But I've been looking in the area for 8 months, 9 months.
Wow.
Searching Zillow every day, giving up, being like, there's nothing that's going to come up. And I was looking at a particular area, and I ended up moving to Wheat Ridge from downtown. So it was a very small area that I was looking at. It was probably less than a square mile. So there's just the lay of the land over there. It was really hard to find anything that was really in good condition, had a good layout, that was quiet, that wasn't near a busy road. Because I want something accessible but quiet, which is what kind of everyone wants. And it was just a really hot area where there was really no inventory.
Yeah,
so
there isn't anywhere.
Yeah,
Right.
Especially right now. I would say, I know last time I was on this episode, the inventory was really low. I think we were talking about 1,000 to 1,500 homes in the Denver 6 counties, like metro, at that time when I was on the episode last time. Now we're floating about 3,700, 3,800, so it's still better, but not.
It is better. But let's not forget that a 6-month inventory in this market is like 35,000. But yeah.
So I don't know. For me, this market's been a breeze, which I've been very thankful that the experiences I've had in these 2021s, the beginning of 2022, 2020 market. Now, this is I'm a lot more seasoned, and I could move to this market a lot easier than I think most agents.
I think that's true too. All right. So what tips would you give to the people that are in your shoes and how they can better relate to clients, leads, advocates, considering what you've learned in the last month?
Yeah.
What you've experienced, I should say.
Yeah. I think being emotionally in tuned is more important than ever. I think especially in a changing market where there's a lot of volatility, a lot of uncertainty, crazy media headlines,
Crazy.
Being, the voice of reason, the soundboard, as you said, and being a comforting soul throughout the process, and being upfront, but still being upfront. Not telling people just what they want to hear, but what they need to hear. Being a true advisor. I think one of the things I think that's got me to where I am is being a man of integrity. Not leaving questions unanswered, following up with people, not letting things go through the cracks. At the end of the day, going through everything and making sure that you're not forgetting everything that you told everyone you're going to do for them that day is a huge thing. I think that's one thing that's propelled me.
You got to do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah. Consistency, and some people are very rigid on the routine. I would say I believe life happens, and I have a loose routine that I follow. So a routine with flexibility, I think, is important. I think some people get caught up in being really rigid and having a strict routine, and they can't stick to it. So I think that's something that someone should, plan out their week and at least have an idea of what they're going to be if they have nothing blocked in their schedule for that time.
That's actually really genius. I see Jen nodding because she and I are huge on calendar management and time blocking and so on and so forth. I don't know that I would refer to it as rigid, but respected for sure. And yeah, if you're in the space, or if you're in a frame of mind where you are going to get better about your time, you're going to get better about time blocking, you're going to get better about your calendar management, you're going to get better about respecting your calendar, then yeah, you sure as shit better not be setting those goals too far out. If you're going to do that and then not honor it, you've wasted time.
Yeah. And having a default too, it's just like, in the real estate business, there's no one telling you what to do every day. So having some sort of like block where you're like, all right, well, Monday through Thursday, we're at the office during these times, and this is what we're working on. We're working on our marketing. If I'm not in an appointment with a client, this is what I'm doing at this time. But if a client needs me, they're always first. No matter
Absolutely.
what. I get some agents who are like, nope, I am calling leads. I'm doing all this stuff from 8 to 9. I'm not taking appointments. I'm not there to help the client during that time. I'm generating new business, which, there's a value to that too.
There is.
But
I try to be pretty rigid about.
Yeah. So there's different styles for it. For me, I'm more about like, if a client needs me at that time, I'll get it done. And I think that's, me, the relationship with the client comes first always. As I feel like I'm going to get the referrals from them. I'm going to get the reviews from them. The reputation is going to get built through them. And I'm at the point in my career where I'm not working with as many strangers as I used to. And now it's more of a family where I have built a community around me. So, I bend over to do whatever I can to get everything done for clients.
Oh, that's huge. And in the process, and don't get me wrong, I think 8 years is still relatively young to have accomplished or expected this. But in the process of building a strict repeat and referral business, yeah, you have to take really good care of the people that you're working for. It's got to be priority number one.
Yeah.
Because if you want them to use you again, you want them to have a good experience. If you want them to refer people to you, you want them to have a good experience. Otherwise, you're just blowing that shit out of the water. That's not going to work. So yeah, agreed. That is a big, big deal. But I think that when we really boil it down to some of the things that we do in real estate, mortgages, certainly even in insurance and financial planning, auto sales, on and on, is taking good care of people. And if you really have that as your single purpose focus, then the rest of the shit will fall into place. I mean, I know that's like old school Zig Ziglar type of stuff, right? Yeah. Help as many people as you can get what they want, and you'll get what you want. But it's worked for decades upon decades. Yeah. So yeah, it's important. What your relationship is like with the source of your repeat and referral business has got to be priority number one.
Yeah, 100%. So I'd say that's definitely something that, an agent that's, previously, working up to be, a top producer or someone who's, just in the business a few years and really trying to, get to the next level. I would say, just building that reputation with clients is number one. Having some sort of consistency, like I was saying, it doesn't have to be rigid, because if it's too rigid and you can't commit to it, it's not going to happen. So it's kind of like the best CRM is the one you use. I know some people are selling $50 million in real estate with an Excel sheet. They use it.
God.
So
you just gave Adam a mini heart attack.
Yeah. But if you use it and you have a system and you know how to keep it simple and know how to revert back to when you're off track, and you know how to revert back and check everything and make sure that nothing's falling through the cracks in a simple way that you're actually going to follow through and do it, I think is number one. For me, it's simple as every day, later on the day around 8 p.m., I check my email and make sure there's nothing I'm missing every day, 8 p.m.
That's smart.
Yeah. So very simple. I look at the clock, 8 p.m., look down, make sure there's nothing missing. So
that's a really good idea. That's something that all of us should be doing. You should, all of you should have an end of day checklist. Make sure you're not leaving anybody hanging.
Yeah. So, and then I would say, like coming up with some sort of consistent marketing that you could do. For me, it's my weekly email. I know I was just starting it last time I was on this episode, and now we've been doing it for 80 weeks now. We're on week 81 of consistently sending out a weekly email every Thursday morning at 7 a.m. It goes out.
It's one of the only newsletters I actually read, Andrew.
Really?
She said that last time too.
Yep. It was one of the only ones that I actually look through. And as somebody who does email marketing, yeah, your newsletter, I might not read the whole thing every week, but yours actually gets opened every single time.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. It means a lot to me. We try to strive to make it different, something that, touches all points of real estate, because real estate's not only about just houses, it's lifestyle, and how to live your best life in the city that you're working, so I try to include stuff like local businesses, whether it's architects, and stuff that people just don't think about. And right now we're kind of going through like the Colorado bucket list of the stuff that people should do and experience in Colorado. And that's what we're trying to start featuring is the must-dos that people don't even think about.
I want to think about. I want to know what's a Colorado must-do. You're talking to like fourth generation Denver native, so hopefully there isn't a whole lot I've missed.
So one that we and my sister were talking about the other day was Annie's Cabin up in Beaver Creek. Have you done it before? Yeah. Oops. So it's
God, I'm embarrassed now.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna fade out of the podcast here.
I'm trying to find the stuff that that is something that is very popular, but not everyone knows about yet. So this is like where they take in Beaver Creek, they take you on a sleigh ride to a cabin in the middle of the woods, and they do a whole fine dining experience.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that
pretty
sounds cool.
Yeah, so pretty unique. Something that you could really only do in Colorado. And, it's something that's pretty popular. You're in Beaver Creek, people talk about it all the time. Well, you got to do this. It's a must-do there. So we're trying to figure out stuff like that to feature. Like, talking about stuff like Strawberry Hot Springs, where it's, it's pretty obvious to do it. But
that one I've done. Tick.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And we're even looking at like the 10th and Mountain Division cabins. Have you heard about these?
Tick.
Yeah. So we're like starting to go through that kind of stuff too, where we're kind of gearing away from like just like restaurants, where we're trying to figure out other experiences for people to do.
You should totally have a freebie download that people can check the things off as you add them to the list.
That's a good idea. Yeah. I highly recommend the 10th Division hut at Slide Lake.
Slide Lake. All right.
Amazing. Yeah. And well, it's hut.org. You can reserve. You just got to bring your food and your clothes, your sleeping bag. They have cots. They have outhouses. They've got all the cookware. The huts are really cool.
Yeah. So we're just trying to figure out ways for people to live a better life here and get people in tune, so that, because I want to be, a source of conversation. And that's what the email is all about. It's kind of like this nexus that we do every week where, it touches on the market. So I know that I have my finger on the pulse with the market every week, no matter what. I have my finger on the pulse, and we usually feature 2 houses every week that I'm usually excited about. And we kind of gear it towards trying to find something that's approachable and attainable for my sphere to buy. Then also some stuff that's like dreamy and just really unique and architecturally significant. So we kind of gear it that so we can, get both demographics involved and not just like, post the most expensive house that we see. And as well as like, going over client successes. Sometimes we go in detail about the client successes and what we did during that transaction for other people to look out for. And sometimes we just talk about mortgage trends or, what we're seeing in the market. That's not just the numbers, like what the reality of the market is. So it's just really, it's been one of those things, and we use a lot of that content, for other stuff to post. So I feature like a song of the week every week that we start using those sounds for Instagram reels and stuff like that. So it's just a really great like source of inspiration every week to be able to take for other parts of my business.
You have my marketing mind going.
Yeah, really cool.
Please tell, are all those songs on an individual playlist that are also on the website?
Yeah, no. So when you go into the email and you click the song, it takes you to the Spotify playlist that has every single song in order that's been featured.
That is badass. All right. And for those of you that are just disseminating information, email, blog, social, whatever, on the most expensive house you can find, I'm only going to go look at the garage anyway.
Wow.
Yeah. That's my MO.
If anyone wants to sign up for my email, feel free to drop a comment and I'll send it over to you.
It's really well done. I will say it's very well done. So.
Yeah, no question. This is really cool stuff. All right, so give us some insight as to some big shit coming down the pipe for you this year, next year. What else are you going to take on, start working on? In fact, we talked about this a little bit before we went live. You're kind of creating your own real estate agent graduate program.
Yeah, I don't know if I would call it that. That's a good way to describe it, but I would. Right now I've been coming to this realization that being an agent, brokering, helping buyers and sellers is kind of only just the beginning of the career at this point. It's almost like the entry level job, and I feel like as clients graduate onto different stages of their homeownership journey and their real estate journey, as agents we have to graduate to that next step too. Whether it's owning investment properties, whether it's getting involved in development, land acquisition, buying second homes, and achieving a certain American dream lifestyle through real estate, to be able to speak to that to clients and be able to advise them through it, whether, it's doing an addition on your house and, what the permitting process is like for that, and going in depth of like, what if you need to rezone a property to do an ADU? So, really actually just not learning marketing and sales, but learning the nitty gritty of real estate and being able to make it, simple, concise, and digestible for the consumer, and not make it this complex thing and make it very attainable and approachable.
Ooh, that's a big task.
Yeah, so that's the next step in the journey. I don't know if it's going to all come to fruition in 2023, but it is where the mind's at. And like I was saying, this is the third property I bought in the last 3 years. So, I'm going through my investment journey and what that looks like, even on the side of taxes and how to advise clients without being a CPA and having them know what questions to ask their CPA and be able to guide them and get a plan together. And just all those kind of things in the background that people don't really market.
Well, I would want my team to know that shit when I'm buying another vacation home, when I'm buying another short-term rental, when I'm contemplating what I would do with my current primary. And that's a good example. You decided to rent yours out, keep it, buy a new primary. Those kinds of things. I want people that have that real world experience guiding me through that process.
Yeah. And it's even like, I was even thinking about it earlier, like the small stuff, like, how do you get the money for a second home? But if you have another primary, there's, products out there like HELOCs and, being able to speak to all these unique options to where it is more attainable than people think. As well as, just be able to be kind of like a side financial planner with their FA and.
Oh, no, it is absolutely it is. And if any of you listening, any of our target audience anyway, real estate agents, mortgage originators, etc., are not adopting the mindset that you are looking at something at every client, at every transaction from a 10,000 foot view, a much bigger picture about their long-term financial success, then you're already blowing it.
Agreed.
You absolutely have to have that mindset about it. This is not about what's best for your client, assuming you want to have repeat clients, client referrals. This is not about what's best for time of transaction. This is about what's best for their dollars in a year and 3 and 5 and 20 and their kids and their kids.
100%.
So, yeah, that's huge. All right. Wow. I am stunned at how fast we burn through a half hour with you every time, Andrew. Let's do this again.
Yeah, I'm down.
That way we can find out how much you accomplished in the rest of the year. How much of your master's program, your graduate program, your PhD program is tooling along. So yeah, Jen, let's get Andrew back on the show and we'll poke and prod him for some answers to those questions. And I'll bet you've got a ton of other stuff you want to tell our audience about.
Yeah, we are gearing up for Social Media Day. Andrew, just a heads up, we're booking June of 2024. So we'll have you back on in June of 24. Friday, June 23rd is going to be Social Media Day, Denver this year. Early bird tickets are going to go on sale in the next week or two. If you're interested in speaking or sponsoring, please email me at smdaydenver@gmail.com. And then, of course, we have the Mile High Mastermind. Seems like a long ways away, but it is September 29th and 30th. And considering we're almost done with February already, I'm sure September will be here in a second. So if you're interested in anything to do with that one, also just reach out to me directly. But to find everything, just the tips related, text tips to 63566. You can get all the past episodes of this show. You can get our weekly little tip, book a free hour of coaching, get a copy of Adam's book. all the things by texting tips to 63566.
All right. And before we sign off, Andrew, you were going to tell us something.
I was?
I don't know. It seemed like it, but I certainly want to make sure that if you have more of this great content for our audience, that we're getting it out.
Yeah, feel free to follow me on my socials, Andrew Goldberg 303 on Instagram, Andrew Goldberg on Facebook. And if you want to sign up for my weekly email, I'm happy to send it to all industry professionals. I get a lot of responses from agents who love it. So I'm happy to share my content and collaborate with anyone. So feel free to send me a DM and I'll get you on the email list and let's connect.
Cool. And thank you again for doing this. I know carving out this kind of time on a Monday morning, even when it's a holiday, because we don't know what a holiday is a big deal. So thank you again for doing it for us.
Of course, happy to be here. Thank you so much.
You bet. And with that, you guys can check us out not every, but 45 out of 52 Mondays a year, give or take. But we do our episodes live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube at 10:30 in the morning Mountain Time. And later in the week, you'll be able to catch replays on Apple and Spotify for the podcast. And it's been a pleasure to have you on again, Andrew. And for the rest of you, we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks. Have a great one, everyone.